About a week ago, a student of mine, 13-year-old named Connor, came up to me and said, "Mr. Smith, check out my picture of an NFT. It's a Bored Ape." And he and I have this banter. We go back and forth every single day. He shows me a different picture of a different NFT. But the problem is that I asked him, what's an NFT? He said, non-fungible token, just like that. But that's where the conversation sort of ended because we really couldn't take it any further. Now, I'll go back to Connor in a second, but a couple days later, my good friend Adam sent me a YouTube video called The Problem with NFTs by another YouTuber named Dan Olson. Now, if you haven't seen that one, it's over 2 hours long. At first, I was like, I can't watch this. It's so long, but I sunk my teeth into it. And today, I wanted to share with you the actual problem with NFTs that nobody's talking about. Of course, it doesn't mean people aren't talking about NFTs. It's just there needs to be a clear understanding of what they are and what problems they present. So stick around, you're not going to want to miss this. So you heard right. On this channel, we talk about all things money. And if you appreciate this type of candid talk, then consider joining our Discord group. Also, I'd personally appreciate it if you would just drop a like. I worked hard on the research for this for a good 2 weeks or so. So let's dive right in. So circling back around to my story with Connor, after asking him what is an NFT and him saying it's a non-fungible token, our conversation couldn't go much further. I wanted to share with him what I knew and maybe get us on a level playing field. So this is what I said to him. I said, Connor, picture this. When everyone's younger, they love the idea of treasure and buried treasure especially, something that they can find that's valuable and something that they can own and keep for a long time. So many people are buying these NFTs, the Bored Apes, the crypto punks, and they're thinking to themselves that they have just bought a treasure chest that is valuable now, is going to be even more valuable in the future. Now stay with me here. I went on to explain that the actual item they bought, the NFT, the non-fungible token, is actually more of a treasure map. You see, the treasure map tells you where the treasure is, but you don't actually buy the treasure. See, an NFT is like a little link in a chain. I'm gonna pull out a chain here. So here it is. I said to Connor, it's like you bought the treasure map. You bought the link in the chain that's going to tell you where the treasure is. But you do not own the treasure. Rather, you only own the treasure map. Now, again, this is an analogy, so I'll throw one more your way. Imagine going to the grocery store and you're filling up your cart full of everything you need. We got the bread, we got the sauce, the pasta, everything, right? And then all of a sudden, you leave the store with your receipt for the groceries, but you don't actually get the groceries. They just stay in the store. And what you get is a receipt. Now, funny thing is, earlier I held up this little chain to represent a blockchain, and this is kind of what you get. Your receipt is that link in the chain of data. But really, if we can kind of extrapolate this, you're not getting a physical receipt, just like you're not getting a physical picture, you're not getting groceries. What you're actually getting is a receipt that is stored in a file folder somewhere, inside a filing cabinet, inside a giant warehouse full of filing cabinets, often some warehouse far away. So let's start right there. The problem with NFTs is that people hear words like blockchain. They think that what they bought is an actual photograph that they own somewhere, stored on the blockchain. And 90% of NFTs aren't stored on the blockchain. And most NFTs, you don't actually own the actual artwork or the JPEG. It can be sold, 10,000 different times. You don't have copyright to it. You don't have license to it. Of course, there are a few exceptions to the rules. For example, some of those very pixelated pieces of artwork, they are stored on chain. So it's not to say that everything is stored in some other server, but in reality, that is how most NFTs work. They're stored somewhere else, and your receipt is the only thing you have showing your ownership. However, you're not the only one that can own that image. You might just own one in 10,000 different variations or sequences or mints of that image. Now, in the art world, if you own, a print of something, it's not controversial. No one's like debating whether you have the rights to then like resell that, or if Netflix came to you and said that, hey, I want to use your artwork print in my show. No one thinks like, oh yeah, I'll take it off my wall, you can scan it, and now I'm going to make the big bucks. But there are some people who are under the impression that their NFTs are what they own, and they might have the ability to, sell them later to a big company that wants to do like a Cartoon Network show about them. Now, again, barring a very few NFTs that are on-chain or ones that give you like creative license, the majority of them just don't work that way. Now, moving on to another problem with NFTs is that because some people are just so hyped about this idea of buying a new project and then maybe, selling it, they're speculating selling it in the future for profit, it's bringing about tons of scams and copycats. For example, many people are aware of celebrities owning Bored Ape Yacht Club, different NFTs, and the hype is real with those types of NFTs. However, there are copycats. For example, I'm going to flash one on the screen here. Take a look at Punky Ape Yacht Club NFTs. These are essentially the exact same thing as the Bored Ape Yacht Club, but they're just like reverse, like 180 degrees, so instead of facing left, they're facing right, for example, or vice versa. Now, going back to being a teacher, you want to preach and instill values about not plagiarizing, other people's work without giving them credit. So when you basically are just stealing somebody else's work, flipping it around and copying it, like things like that, like are controversial. And OpenSea, one of the biggest NFT marketplaces, banned that whole series, and you couldn't buy them anymore. But that started a whole nother controversy because a lot of people were like, hey, this is like an open market. Like, there's no rules. It's decentralized. It's the blockchain. How can we censor, this other project? Therefore, it remains to be seen who gets to decide what's satire, what's parody, what's simply a ripoff or a derivative. And that leads us to at least one more concern that I wanted to bring up, and it especially kind of hits home with my buddy Adam, who sent me that original video I mentioned at the start of this one. You see, in Adam's video, he is an artist, and he decided to mint a one-of-a-kind NFT of one of his own original creations. And the video exploded with negative comments, thumbs down, other artists saying, haven't you thought of the environmental concerns of NFTs? Now, after reading through hundreds of comments on Adam's video and doing my own research, what I found is most people tend to cherry pick their data, or they compare like apples to oranges when it comes to the environmental impact of NFTs. Now, just to be clear, get a basic understanding of what they're talking about. Most NFTs, not all of them, are built on the Ethereum network. And right now, Ethereum, similar to Bitcoin, uses something called proof of work. So these computer servers all around the world have to do a little bit of computing, essentially like, let's just say, coding math problems, in order for transactions to take place. That takes up energy, and it consumes, of course, way more energy than if NFTs, but also cryptocurrencies and blockchains, proof of work ones at least, didn't exist. But the one thing I want to point out is that the Ethereum network, that cryptocurrency Ether, that is the platform which NFTs are built on top of, at least blockchain style. And so what many people need to consider is that even if the NFT train is going around the tracks, and that train is completely empty, it's still taking the energy and the effort to move that system along. And when the system gets clogged up, or if there's some competitive buying and selling, then the gas prices or the ticket to get on the train skyrockets. And that's another problem right now. So some people are looking to do NFTs on other networks. But again, to use that train analogy, the train's on the tracks moving regardless of if it's empty or if it's full of people. And even if everyone in the world took a break from using Ethereum, essentially the carbon footprint for that day when everyone took a break would be the same as if people were using it all day long. Now, hopefully I didn't lose many people there. I tried to show a few photos, but the energy concerns are real. Ethereum is looking to move to a proof of stake. There are other networks that are already proof of stake. I personally would love to see them get more attention as opposed to Ethereum. But right now, the NFT world and Ethereum are kind of in bed together until the foreseeable future. Now, I'm not naive to think I can change everybody's mind simply by making a YouTube video about cryptocurrencies and NFTs, but I think education is power, and the more people understand the inner workings of not only how the NFT works, but also how the Ethereum network and cryptocurrencies work, the better they can sort of understand it and make a more educated judgment for themselves. Now, before I give you a few key takeaways, I just want to let you know there's a lot more to talk about. We're talking about scams, some of the most popular apps, ones that have licensing deals with Disney, Marvel. But I'm going to save that for another video, so please consider subscribing to this channel. Those videos are going to come out in the next couple of weeks. Okay, simply put, an NFT is a non-fungible token. I said it in the beginning of this video, you're not really buying the treasure, you're buying the treasure map. You are not the only person who can own that treasure map either. There can be multiple maps, 100 maps, 10,000 maps. And there is the potential for that treasure at some point, if it's hosted off-chain, to perhaps disappear forever. And that's kind of dangerous when people are thinking that they could get in and make a quick buck and then get out because somebody else is going to pay a bit more money. There's also tons of other concerns like plagiarism, ripoffs, scams, energy consumption. So the more you know, I think the more you probably need to learn in order to make like a really good judgment about which NFT projects you might like to support, if you should just stay away completely, and if this is something you're honestly looking to invest in. And please let me know down in the comments what you think about NFTs. I would love to get a conversation going down there. All right, as always, I'm Rich, and until next time.